Well, good evening, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. Wake up here. Wake up, everybody. How's everybody doing here on this Thursday night? Right now, the Tennessee Titans are up 7-0 on the Indianapolis Colts. We got Thursday night football in full swing. Come Sunday, we have the
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
the Eagles versus the Giants. A game that'll be interesting to say the least. It's one of those crazy ones that we got all weekend to talk about that one and the build up to it. Philly 500 and Cop Hizzle and Rashid, the stinking New York Giant fan, and Michael Anthony Fitness, and some other Eagle fans. It seems like there's been a whole controversy that's been stirred up about the belt and everything else and stuff. And they'll deal with that. Have fun with that. Have fun with it. Okay, I've said my piece and everything else. That was a bet between Michael and Philly 500 and stuff like that. I just don't want that greasy, slimy, you know what, Cop Pizzle to have anything to do with anything that belongs or might be coming back to this house. I just don't want that. But you know what? It is what it is. It ain't my belt, it ain't my place. So I'm just gonna stay out of it. That's an A/B situation. I'm gonna see my way out of it. That's a January February conversation. I'm gonna march right out of it. So I'm gonna leave that alone. But as we sit here with our Dallas Cowboys, in disarray with a lot of injuries, a season that looks like it's going to be lost, although it's not completely over. There's still a chance. Seriously, there's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Yeah! There's a chance. There's a chance. There's always a chance. But what we have to do is we got to figure out what we do right and do more of it. And the things that we do wrong, we got to stay the hell away from. That's the recipe for success. And right now, as we sit, the number 3 pick, number 4 pick, I've seen it both ways, where some people have us ahead of the Giants and behind the Giants. I just don't understand how we can be ahead of the Giants having beat them. To me, it seems like the Giants should be ahead of us in draft order, but regardless of that, either way, somehow we're going to have a great draft pick. And looking back now, hindsight is 2020. When you think about Jamal Adams, as well as the year before we were talking about also getting Earl Thomas, we're very fortunate that we did not trade that number 1 pick or multiple number 1 picks like the Seattle Seahawks did for Jamal Adams. They sent 2 number 1s for Jamal Adams. I'm not saying that Jamal Adams hasn't played well. He's played 4 games and he's got like 28 tackles and 3.5 sacks. Great numbers. But here you're looking at the Seattle Seahawks defense that, Cowboys have kind of started playing a little bit better, but Seattle's defense is as bad as ours is and maybe actually worse, even though they got him. And can you imagine if the Cowboys, if our number 1 pick this year was going to Seattle? To New York? New York would be like, damn, we would have been better off kicking 1 number 1 to have had 2 top 5 draft picks. Yeah. But they didn't. They traded 2 number 1s to Seattle. Seattle, which will be a playoff team, which will be a late round pick, which in essence you might as well say it'd be like a second round pick. But can you imagine with us being in the position that we are, Jamal Adams would have helped our defense as we look at Xavier Woods, but I don't know that would have been enough to turn this season around. And then you start thinking about, of course, next year's number 1. That would have been a lot of compensation and a lot of things that people said we need to do that. Because ultimately, here's the crazy thing about safeties. Do you know in last year's draft, safeties weren't taken until the second round? Not a single one. Very rarely are safeties even taken in the first round. So when you start thinking about trading a number one for a safety, a position that's usually a second and third round player, you're overpaying for it. And I'll give you one more too. The Cowboys were going to trade a number two for Earl Thomas, which would have been last year's number two, which was Diggs. Could you imagine if we don't have Diggs and we had Earl Thomas and Earl Thomas is on his way out? I dare say we're better off having Diggs than Earl Thomas for the long-term forward. I'll give you another one. Seattle didn't want that number two. They wanted a number one. Are we better off having CeeDee Lamb or would we be better off having Earl Thomas? And this goes to why you have to stop thinking of football in fantasy football terms. Very rarely do the trades work out to your benefit. And for the Cowboys, the one thing you can look at and say is they do pretty well in the draft. Because let's take a look right now what we put on the field this year. Number one pick, CeeDee Lamb. Even without Dak Prescott, I believe 17th in the NFL. 17th as a rookie. If Dak was still here, he'd be on the top of the charts. Number two as a rookie. You know you got a stud there going forward. He's going to be able to take one of those places down the road. He's a guy you're not paying a whole bunch of money to for the next 4 years. It's fantastic. Look at number two, Diggs. I know he's injured now and probably gone for the rest of the season, but you see the potential of that guy. He's already got 2 interceptions in one game. That's more than most Cowboy players have in a whole season on our defense. Hell, that's more than Byron Jones had in his whole career here in Dallas. I'd say that that's a win. Tyler Badass. Listen, he's on the all-rookie team. He is one of the best young centers that are out there. You actually got a complete stud right there. And then, of course, there's my favorite, Gallimore. Let's just call the whole thing off. But you got him. Young, strong beast. All these guys have one thing in common. They're inexpensive. Actually, I got a couple things about. They're inexpensive because they're rookies. And they're trying to get paid. So for the next 4 years, these guys are going to be playing lights out to get that big fat contract. And that's why you don't make these trades for the big name players. Because the other thing for Seattle, like I said, he's playing good when he's on the field. I'm not disputing that. But they're going to have to pay a whole lot of money to him going forward. He will cost more, way more, than that whole rookie class that I just talked about. And that's why I'm happy that we did not give up a king's ransom for Jamal Adams, for Earl Thomas, or any of these other guys. You're better off keeping those draft picks. And ultimately, if we're in one of those positions, where somebody wants to trade up and give us a king's ransom to try and get a quarterback, man, that's gold. That's gold. We already have 11 picks. If we can take that number one, and turn it into a couple more high round picks, you get yourself another CeeDee Lamb. You get yourself another Gallimore. You get yourself another Tyler Badass, and a couple other players in a couple other positions. This team goes from worst to first just like that with Dak Prescott back. So the Cowboys, in my mind, they dodged a bullet by not making those 2 trades. But then again, what do I know? I'm a guy with a day job and a voodoo doll, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys out here. Being able to do this, talk to you guys and things is helping me to get my mind off things. So I appreciate that. And also, too, I'm hearing from a lot of you guys, too, out there that are dealing with your own pain and issues and things. And I'm sorry for all of your losses and your pains and things you guys are all going through, because 2020 has been bad. It's been bad all the way around in so many different ways, between losing family members, losing your job, being stuck at home, or having to try and teach your kids. Everybody is going through so much right now. And what we have to realize is we are all we got. Let's try and look out for each other. Call a friend and make sure they're okay. Check on others. And if you can help somebody else, please, by all means, do that. And show some compassion. And that's all I got to say about that. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys and girls out there. And always a lady, always a lady, always a lady. I need your address because you were one of the winner chicken dinners, and I've got that rack ready to go for you. Email me at cowboysmark94@gmail.com. I'll see you soon.